I'm sure it will come as no surprise to you that Mavic 4 Pro is an absolute beauty. Can you believe how quiet it is for such a massive, powerful drone? We're going to put it through its paces in this video. There's one thing I don't like about it we're going to talk about at the end. You can let me know in the comments if I'm being a massive, whiny big girl's blouse or if my observations are reasonable. But for now, let's crack on. I know you're here for the analysis, folks, but let's rattle through some specifications so we are all on the same page. In addition to the new airframe, we get a beautiful new controller with the Mavic 4 Pro. 04 plus video transmission with enormous range, a flippy up screen and flippy up sticks, which is cool, super bright display, and it articulates 90 degrees, which corresponds with the gimbal rotation for full, true vertical shooting. The batteries now give you 51 minutes theoretical flight time, a top speed of 25 meters per second, and despite all this power, the drone is very quiet and the tone is pleasant on the ear. Relatively speaking, of course. 6 fisheye obstacle avoidance sensors, a downward-facing infrared sensor, a forward-facing LiDAR sensor gives us enhanced and improved omnidirectional obstacle avoidance. Nice, safe return to homes, although still managed to stick it into the side of a hill, so keep your brain switched on this one. I will say, however, that the enhanced sensing system does seem to have improved the tracking performance of this drone. Not once could I get it to untrack me, be it me being a little dot on the side of a landscape or the car tearing along at some speed. Tracking can be up to 18 meters per second, so genuinely impressed on this one, and not just on the primary camera but on all 3 cameras that we'll talk about in a second. The Mavic 4 Pro Standard and the Creator Combo come with internal storage, which is nice. So that wraps up the physical considerations of this airframe. Let's talk about the 3 cameras. The primary camera is, of course, the 4/3 sensor Hasselblad camera, 28mm field of view, variable aperture, bump in resolution to 6K at 60 frames per second, which in photograph terms gives us 25 megapixel photos or 100 megapixels if we're taking advantage of that quad Bayer setup. The second camera with its 70mm field of view is exactly the same as the one found on the Air 3S. Fixed aperture of f2.8, shoots 4K 120 frames per second. The third camera has a new 1/1.5 inch sensor, slightly smaller than the second camera, same fixed f2.8 and a maximum resolution of 4K at 100 frames per second. The good news is that all 4 cameras shoot the full suite of color profiles, including D-Log. If you want, you can shoot H.264 all intra for extremely busy high motion scenarios for power users. I can tell you that all 3 cameras deliver a very nice image that's easy to work with in post, but they are not the same cameras. They have different claimed levels of dynamic range, they have different maximum resolutions, different sensor sizes, different apertures, be it fixed or variable, and that has considerations down the line. So, jumping ahead a bit, we'll talk about that later. Let's crack on now with the actual flight experience. As you know, this is a highly capable professional drone, so we'll get into all the pro stuff in a bit, but usability is very important. So let's check the startup time. Groovy new controller here. We open that up. That's it in the process of going on. Unfold the legs of the drone. That is now in the process of going on. How long does it take to get going? Okay, app is booting up. Hello, ding-de-ling-de-ling. Everything's singing and dancing. Picture already. Preparing for takeoff. Satellites already grabbed. 23 satellites, home point updated. Boom, happy days. Let's get this beast in the air and we'll talk about some of the flight characteristics. I could not believe how quiet it was when it took off. Goes without saying it's extremely stable. I'm more interested in the stability than I am in top speeds and all that kind of stuff. I'm also interested in ascent and descent speeds. And this bad boy matches the Air 3 with its 10 meters per second ascent and descent speed. Sports mode engaged. Let's see if we can get this crazy drone up to 25 meters per second. Oh, it's coming in hot. Woo! 20 meters per second. Let's have another go. What about backwards? How fast does it go flying backwards? Whoa! Oh my goodness. Maybe we'll do that test a bit higher. Go, 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 go! Right, we're at 18 meters per second. Come on, guys, 25. 25 meters per second. Okay, maybe there's a little bit of wind up there. There's a breeze in my face? Yes, that could be it. Maybe. Right, let's turn around, go the other way then. Oh, lovely light going this way. Ah, don't crash into a hill. Don't crash into a hill. Can't be bothered going up there to get it. Right, go, go, go! Forwards, 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 forwards. Now we're talking 21, 22, 23, 24, 24.9, 25 meters per second. And that is what a drone looks like when it's going 90 kilometers per hour. My goodness gracious. What a machine. It's hard to overstate how quiet the Mavic 4 Pro is. It's 87 meters above my head, right up there. Can't hear a thing, certainly not over the sound of this running water. Do bring it down. Let's just check the descent speed. Make sure that we do get that 10 meters descent speed. Wow, it just comes down. 10 meters per second descent speed. Wow. That's fantastic. You know, gone are the days of having to wait forever for the Phantom 4 to come down. That's glorious stuff. Let's check the ascent speed as well. Boom! 10 meters a second. Wow. And there it is. Even in sports mode, interestingly, the downward sensors are still paying attention for us. So you can't just plummet it straight into the ground at 10 meters per second. Check out this little party trick on the gimbal. Woo! That's a bit of fun for those of you that like that vertical video. 6K vertical video for your social media. That's a lot of resolution for social media, I will tell you that. Equally useful, if not more so in some situations, is the ability to achieve a full 70-degree upward tilt of that gimbal. Again, do you remember those days when you couldn't tilt the gimbal up because the props got in the shot, or when you flew too fast and the drone was tilted over? I'll show you this controller in more detail because it is cool. It folds up like that, and when you open it, the sticks automatically pop out. This is fully articulating. You can get 90-degree rotation on it as well, which is pretty sweet. 2000 nits brightness. Scroll down here. Just make sure that if you want it super bright, you have got the brightness turned up. Very nice display. It is quite heavy though, so obviously different drones for different purposes. The Mavic 4 Pro is over 1 kilogram. This controller is not light, nor are the batteries. But DJI certainly has plenty of other drones out there should maximum portability be your #1 priority. Full omnidirectional obstacle avoidance. We even get a snazzy little LiDAR sensor neatly tucked away on this right arm here. Obstacle avoidance, not an excuse for you to switch your brain off. I've already stuck it into the side of a hill today effortlessly whilst doing active track. Not the first time I've done something like that. Having said that, these sensors are fantastic for your automated return to home. Again, I had a couple signal losses today. I was very comfortable in the knowledge that everything would come back safely, which it did. Pinpoint landing accuracy, which was very nice and very helpful. But don't switch your brain off just because you've got all these fail-safes. You don't need me to tell you that there's 3 cameras on the Mavic 4 Pro, kind of similar to the Mavic 3 Pro, but with some very nice upgrades. The main 4/3 camera on the top there, that's a 4/3 of an inch sensor, shoots 6K resolution. That's an uplift on the 5.1 2K that we had on the Mavic 3 Pro, and more resolution than the 5.4K that we get with an Air 3. Now, of course, resolution is not the be-all and end-all, but more is good at the end of the day if we're going for aggressive post-production stabilization. We're cropping in aggressively in post, we're doing post-production camera moves, all that kind of stuff. Not a reason to buy a camera, in my opinion, resolution, but nonetheless a nice thing to have. I'm pleased to say there is an increased level of consistency across these 3 cameras. They all shoot the proper D-Log color profile, which I'm assuming if you're buying this drone, you'll want to use. It is a pro drone after all. All 3 cameras shoot 10-bit video. They take raw photographs. Coming back to the video side of things, if you do have the 512 gigabyte internal storage creator combo version of the Mavic 4 Pro, you can shoot the all-intra codec, which is a slightly technical way of saying you can have enormously high bitrate footage, which can help you if there's a lot of action in the shot. I'm not going to get into it here. I haven't done the full tests. We've had all-intra codecs on our cameras before, never really used them, to be honest with you. File sizes are absolutely enormous, but if you are really shooting at a high level with some very specific requirements, then these are pro features that some of you will definitely be able to take advantage of. Although these three cameras have completely different sensor sizes and maximum resolutions for that matter, they do all shoot incredibly nice images. If we think back to the original Mavic 3, when we first were introduced to this 7x telephoto explorer mode camera that only shot a normal color profile, you could only use auto exposure settings, only shot 30 frames per second if I remember. It was all a little bit odd. Those days are gone. A key feature of the 4/3 camera is its variable aperture. The Mavic series of drone is the only series of drone to have a variable aperture. Very useful for managing your exposure when you're flying with ND filters. Now, important to note, we don't get the variable aperture on the other two cameras in there, and that is the first of many differences between the 4/3 camera and the two telephoto cameras. So on one hand, I am very pleased with the Mavic 4 Pro's 3-camera setup, but Stuart, I hear you ask, you said in the intro there was something you did not like about this drone. Let's get into that. The user experience when you have 3 different cameras on your drone could be improved. You're alternating between 3 cameras that have completely different sensor sizes and potentially completely different apertures, depending on whether or not you're cranking the variable aperture on the 4/3 lens. So you have completely different settings when you're using those different cameras. And that for me is a little bit fiddly when you are in field, shall we say. Now, added to that, the 7x telephoto, the 168mm telephoto lens has very specific uses, of which there are not really that many. 70mm on the second camera is already a highly compressed field of view from an aerial perspective, with which you can get fantastic parallax and great shots. So that third camera has a kind of niche application. Here's my thought. Anyone remember the Mavic 2 Zoom? No one paid that much attention to the Mavic 2 Zoom because it came out simultaneously with the Mavic 2 Pro. That was when we were first introduced to the 1-inch camera. Collaboration with Hasselblad. It was very exciting, shot a beautiful image. I think that might have been the first camera that shot 10-bit as well. By contrast, the Zoom gave us a 24 to 48mm optical zoom on a sensor, 1/2.3 if I recall, so it wasn't really that exciting by comparison. What I am getting at, and call me ungrateful, rather than have this 3-camera array, I would rather have a Mavic 4 Zoom with a 4/3 sensor. There, I've said it. Right, comments below. Am I being a whiny little ugh? Or is that a reasonable observation? Is it a ridiculous thing to ask for? In the 3.5 years since the Mavic 3 came out, I kind of hoped that that's what DJI might be working on with the Mavic 4. I had no basis for hoping for that, just to clarify. I just hoped for it. What about a zoom lens, 4/3 sensor, 28 to 70mm? I don't know, I'm not an optics guy. Is that even possible? Something like that would be lovely. It's not that I don't like using the other cameras, it's just from a practicality perspective when it comes to capture and editing. If we could get all the features of that Hasselblad 6K 4/3 sensor, but through a zoom range, and if needs be, sacrifice those extra telephoto lenses. Just to put my request into context, because it might be wildly unreasonable, this 4/3 camera on the Mavic 4 Pro is the best camera that we own. The GH5 that's filming me now is a micro 4/3 system. Beautiful camera, incredible workhorse. Don't really have any reason to replace it, even though it's many years old now. But this 4/3 camera on the Mavic 4 Pro shoots 6K. and it's just an all-round better camera. And unlike the Panasonic GH5, this one flies has 2 additional cameras, which I'm kind of complaining about a little bit and saying I'd rather have something else. And this does all kinds of mad stuff like tracking you and all kinds of crazy shenanigans. So a little bit of context around what I'm suggesting here. In summary, this Mavic 4 Pro is an evolution of the Mavic 3 Pro. It's not a revolution, and that is absolutely fine. It will give you years of faithful service. It is a beast. Your view on the matter will completely depend on what you already own, how much money you've got, what you're planning on doing with it, and I can't tell you how you should feel about those things. Hopefully, however, you have some facts at your disposal, a little bit of opinion here to help you with your thought process. Go ahead and download the drone purchasing guide that we have in the description below. Other ebooks like our 37 drone tips to get you flying like a filmmaker. Check out our gorgeous courses. It is, after all, what you do with the drone that counts. And if you want any proof of that, look at some of our Neo content. That drone costs, what, less than a tenth of this drone. And you can get some fantastic shots with that. We will see you in the next one.